Hey everyone! Today, we're going to talk about something that might sound a little scary, but it's super important. We're diving into 4 everyday habits that might be quietly chipping away at your intelligence. So let's get right into it.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. What if those little daily habits you don't even think about? Constantly checking your phone, always needing to have the last word. What if those are actually making it harder for you to think? It's a pretty powerful idea, right? And that's exactly what we're digging into today. Because here's the thing you have to remember. Intelligence isn't some fixed number you get stuck with at birth. It's more like a muscle. It's totally dynamic. It's all about how you live your life, how you handle information, and most importantly, how you train your brain for clear, deep thinking.
Okay, let's jump into the first one. And honestly, this is a habit that probably hits close to home for almost all of us. It's that constant need for distraction. You know the feeling, right? That little bit of anxiety when you're just sitting still for a minute and your hand just instinctively reaches for your phone, or you just have to refresh a feed or open another tab.
And here's the crazy part. Our brains have basically learned to run away from boredom. But, and this is the key, boredom isn't the enemy. It's actually where the magic happens. When your mind is free to just wander, that's when it starts connecting dots and solving problems in the background. All that constant stimulation, it's just training your brain to crave the next quick dopamine hit, not for the deep focused thinking that really matters.
And yeah, there's a real cost to this. I mean, think about it for a second. Can you name a single brilliant idea in history that came from a distracted mind? Probably not, right? Every major breakthrough, every game-changing insight, it all came from a quiet mind that had the space to actually think. So when we lose the ability to just handle a little silence, we're losing more than just focus. We're losing our ability to think deeply, period. But, hey, the good news is you can totally fight back against this, and you can start small, like super small. The next time you're in a line at the store or just walking from your car to the office, just resist the urge. Don't pull out your phone. Let your mind be. Let it wander. That moment right there, that's when you start rewiring your brain and building up those pathways for deeper thought. And this whole idea of creating mental space, it leads us right into our second habit. This one's all about the balance, or, the imbalance between talking and listening. Okay, so you can really see the 2 different worlds here. On one side, you've got the person who's always interrupting, who argues just to prove they're right, and acts like they've got all the answers. That approach literally slams the door shut on any new information. But then you've got the other side, the genuinely intelligent approach. This is the person who listens more than they talk, who asks real, curious questions, and who operates from the belief that, hey, every single person I meet knows something I don't. It really makes you think, doesn't it? The loudest person in the room is often the least self-aware. That quiet person over in the corner, they're not necessarily shy. They're probably busy observing, processing what's being said, connecting the dots. Basically, they're gathering way more useful intel than anyone else.
And at the end of the day, it comes down to this. The whole point of a conversation shouldn't be to look intelligent. The goal is to actually become more intelligent. It's a chance to learn and to grow. And that whole process, it starts by just listening.
All right, moving on to habit number 3. This one's about our relationship with things that are difficult. It's that natural instinct to run away from struggle, usually because we're afraid of failing or, looking dumb. And the best way to think about this is to picture your brain like a muscle. Seriously. You wouldn't go to the gym and expect your arms to get bigger by only lifting tiny, easy weights, would you? Of course not. Well, your mind is the exact same. If you always take the easy route, your brain just stays, mentally soft. It needs that resistance, that challenge to get stronger. Now, this next part is so important. I really want you to let this one sink in. That feeling of being confused, that moment where you feel kind of dumb when you're learning something new, that is not a sign to quit. In fact, it's the opposite. It is the exact signal that your brain is working hard, forging new pathways. That feeling is the feeling of growth. So embracing that struggle, that feeling of not knowing, it leads us perfectly into our final and maybe the most sneaky habit we need to break. And that's the trap of thinking you already know everything. Because here's the really dangerous thing about this mindset. The second you decide you're right and there's nothing left to learn, your intellectual growth just stops. It slams on the brakes. Your curiosity just withers away. You stop seeking out different perspectives. Opinions take the place of real understanding, and your world starts to get really, really small.
But the truly intelligent people? They do the complete opposite. They cultivate what's called a beginner's mind. They walk into any situation assuming they are not the smartest person in the room. And that humility, it's like a superpower. It keeps them curious, it keeps them asking questions, and it makes them brave enough to challenge their own beliefs. That's the secret to keeping your mind sharp and alive. So as we bring this all together, it really boils down to this one simple but really powerful idea. Intelligence isn't something you're just handed. It's something you actively build every single day through the choices you make and the habits you keep.
So let's recap the 4 big rules, or maybe the 4 big killers of intelligence. Distraction, it absolutely kills your focus. Talking too much, it kills your ability to learn from others. Avoiding difficulty, that kills your mental growth. And pride, that feeling that you know it all, it completely kills your curiosity.
And just remember this, these are just habits. That's all they are. They are not hardwired into your DNA. And that is fantastic news, right? Because it means they can be changed. You don't have to completely upend your life overnight. Just by consciously working on breaking even one of these, you give your intelligence so much more room to grow. So I'm going to leave you with one final question to chew on. Think about it honestly. When was the last time you genuinely, truly changed your mind about something important? If you can't remember, well, it might be a little sign that you've accidentally stopped growing. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.